Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to do Bountiful Biscuits Part 1 because it's going to be a multi-parted series of mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of biscuits every week, or some cakes, or some delicious puddings, all sweet things I'm going to carry on doing online on my YouTube post once every 2 weeks or once a week, we'll see. And then what I've started to do is I'm going to start proper cooking lessons at the end of this month, where I am having the people at my studio where we are filming this right now. So welcome to my Bountiful Biscuits class. And basically this week I've put on about 500 kilos because all I've done is been making biscuits and testing them and eating them. And yesterday I ate 10 biscuits, which is basically all the calories that a dieter would eat for 1 week, I ate in one afternoon. So if I look larger than Marge, you know why. Anyway, so what we're going to do today, we're going to do chocolate and almond clusters. We're going to do orange chocolate chip ricotta biscuits. We're going to do Sicilian almond biscuits and orange peel crunchies. So I'm going to start with the Sicilian biscuits. These Sicilian biscuits are basically a dream come true. They are chewy and sweet and toffee-ish. They are absolutely off the charts. So what you could do for this, let me get my glasses on. You're going to use a cup of white sugar and 226 grams of almond paste. Now in the method, I've told you how to make the almond paste. It's 226 grams of either blanched or slivered almonds and 4 tablespoons of sugar and a drop of water, which you can get from your Porsche. This is my cup of sugar. Now Matamela is not helping me with tasting my biscuits this month because she hates biscuits, she hates sugar. So I'm having a little bit bad time in getting her opinion because she isn't a sugar eater, which means she's actually one of the wiser ones around here.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so in here is my 226 grams of almonds, slivered or blanched, obviously without the skin on, blanched, and 4 tablespoons of white sugar and a drop of water. So it comes together a little bit. Maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of water, just so that it's pasty. So this is what we've got in here. So that is the first part of the method. So we would place our 2.5 cups of slivered or blanched almonds in a Maggi mix with 4 tablespoons of white sugar and a drop or 2 of water to make a paste. Here we go. Then we've put our oven on to 180 degrees, we've done that. And then in this Maggi mix, we are going to combine our cup of white sugar. I mean, basically, it's sugar diabetes on a plate. And a little bit of salt. You'll find that in baking, there is always a pinch of salt to bring out the flavor. And we're going to put half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to mush this all up together, and we are going to slowly add our egg whites one at a time. Okay, so we've done that all there. that's 1 egg white. And we are now going to combine the other egg white. Mum, can I please have a lovely yeah. Now what I love about homemade biscuits is the following. Okay, Sheppy, do you want to put this in the oven? Yes. Is that first of all, the biscuits, all biscuits, generally take about 10 to 15 minutes to make. So they are very, very quick to create. The other thing is that you can freeze homemade biscuits, and what I would suggest you do is get one of those big Tupperwares and do layer, 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 and put wax paper in between or baking paper in between. And that way, you've always got them on hand for visitors who might pop past. And also if you want a little bit of a treat with your tea. And they are completely addictive, biscuits, homemade biscuits. And they definitely make a big difference to the taste being homemade, I think. I think that I actually have never known any bought biscuits that I really love. Although the other day I tasted Angels, which I found quite moorish. But basically, commercial biscuits aren't unbelievable. So it's always nice to have a repertoire of homemade biscuits. And I remember when I was growing up, I had a friend called Mary, and she had a tin, a 3-layered tin in her kitchen, as we did in those days. We had cake tins, if you remember, in the last century, and literally the last century. And on one layer there was shortbread, then the other layer there was jam biscuits, and the other one I actually can't remember, but all I can tell you is that I remember those jam biscuits and those shortbread with unbelievable fondness. And this is what I'm trying to do, because in actual fact what has happened with lockdown is that everybody has become prolific bakers, because people have had to get into their kitchens because they aren't going out to eat a lot, and also they are at home, so they can find things to do at home. So what people have done is a lot of baking. I don't know why I've woken up to the Bountiful biscuits at the end of lockdown, but anyway, we won't worry about that. Never too late. Almond. Thanks, Porsche. Anyway, as you can see, this almond paste for the biscuits is very, very soft. So what you need to do is you need to put it in the fridge, hello almond, and let it harden up. And once it's hard, you can roll it and put it on your baking sheet. So this can go into the fridge even overnight. Or should take it before I actually eat the entire thing. Just put it in the fridge, Mama. And I've got a few in the oven that I'm baking that I'll bring out in a second. So everything happens in the Magimix. It's so easy. So your oven's at 180, you've combined everything in here, you've added your eggs, and then when you bake biscuits, just remember, especially if they've got butter in them, they spread. Like butter makes you spread, butter makes biscuits spread as well. And that's why I'm spreading at a rate of knots after all these bloody biscuits this week. Anyway, so you do have to leave quite a big gap between each one. So you might have to invest in a couple of these trays and then do fewer biscuits on more trays. Now when you put your baking paper on your tray, just put a dab of butter in each corner, like I've done there, and it just keeps your paper from moving around. And remember that there is a very, very big difference between baking paper and wax paper. Wax paper doesn't come off the bottom of your cookies. or your biscuits or your cake. Wax paper hasn't got a sheen like this that is non-stick. So this is our non-stick baking paper, or you can use those silk pack mats. I'm ashamed to show you this one because it's literally, I've had it for 40 years. It's absolute heirloom. It's got more cuts in it than you can imagine. But these silicone mats are available at all kitchen stores, and they save the paper. Because you just wash them in hot water with soap, and then they're perfect to use again. So don't look at my grubby one, but that's that. Okay, so those are our almond biscuits, our Sicilian almond biscuits. They do flatten a bit. I was supposed to put icing sugar on top. Anyway, I will put it on top when they come out. And then that will be the first layer of our little Tupperware of biscuits. Okay? And what's so nice about biscuits is that even though you freeze them, you it takes about 5 minutes for them to defrost when they're out the freezer. So the waiting time to serve them isn't terribly long. It's not like you're taking out a roast leg of lamb and trying to defrost a whole leg of lamb. So that's the Sicilian almond biscuits. Okay guys, so the next biscuit we're going to do are these unbelievable almond and cornflake clusters. And this recipe was actually given to me by a friend of mine, Julia. And when she had children's birthday parties, she used to prepare a feast like no other, a table groaning with every single thing imaginable, and these were on the table. And I said to her, please, can I have a recipe? It's the best thing I've ever tasted. And you can do them in white chocolate or dark chocolate, which is so fantastic. The white chocolate ones are actually my favorite, because I love white chocolate. And it is so simple. It's 200 grams of chocolate, 50 grams of slivered almonds, and 70 grams of cornflakes. And all you do is mix it together so that the chocolate not too hot, Porsche. The chocolate, huh?
My hand doesn't burn anyway.
Your hands don't burn. That's
Don't
lucky.
burn.
That's very lucky. Okay, so you just turn it and twist it around so that all the nuts and cornflakes are covered in this wonderful chocolate mixture. And as I say, with white chocolate, it's actually nice to do a platter with white and dark chocolate. And then what you do, you simply take a tablespoon, I mean it's so easy, and these basically slide down your throat. You don't even have to chew them, they just slide. And they slide straight onto your hips, from your mouth to your hips. Oh God, these bloody biscuits are killing me. Anyway, very, very simply, it's actually better to use 2 spoons.
Yeah.
And these you don't have to space because we're not cooking them. So what is so nice about this is that they are delectable little treats. You always try and get the biscuits the same size if you can. Okay? Didn't do that one so well, Porsche. And they're crunchy and sweet and delicious. So, what's happening in the front to our other biscuits? Okay. So, unfortunately, our Cadbury's bars, are they done? Not yet. Have gone from 200 grams to 180, and now they're 150. Can you believe it? For double the money, which is always nice. So you can't just buy one slab of chocolate for this. You've got to buy 2. This one's a bit bigger than all the others, so let's just take it a little bit back. but they're basically, I think I can get 2 more out of here, hey?
Yeah.
Get 1 here. We'll count how many this makes. But the white ones are unbelievable, and it's the same. Oopsie, let's go there. 10 makes 10. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the fridge. They're so easy, and they are so delicious, and that's what I like about homemade biscuits. They take 1 second to make. It's just a matter of actually applying yourself. That's why it might be quite a nice idea if you set aside a day or an afternoon to do all your baking of your biscuits and just put everything in the freezer afterwards. That would be a wise thing to do. So I'm going to put this in the fridge. Obviously the chocolate will harden, and then what I'll do is I will dust them with my icing sugar, and they'll look absolutely stunning. So there they are. We're going to put them in the fridge. Thanks, Portia. So how easy is that? Literally the easiest thing on earth. The next biscuit we're going to make is absolutely moorish. I mean, I know I'm raving and ranting, but they are really extremely tasty. And they are our orange chocolate chip ricotta biscuits. Now, you can't imagine that the biscuit's got even ricotta in it, but it makes it all nice and creamy. And the combination of orange and chocolate is unbelievable. So what you're going to do, you're going to give me a bowl, and we are going to place in that bowl our flour, which is over there, 2 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, there's 2 cups of flour, okay, so that's 1. Must always be flattened, whoopsie, bye-bye, 2. Making a little bit of a mess. Okay. So those are 2 flattened cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder are going to go in. I've already measured it out. So in goes the baking powder, just your normal gewone baking powder, and a little bit of salt to bring out the flavor. Can I have a spoon, please? And we're going to mix that round so that the baking powder is equally distributed in the flour. Now, if you haven't got one of these big Kenwood mixers, you can definitely start off with one of those little handheld mixers. You can buy them from all the stores. It's like a little square machine with 2 things hanging down. Go brrrr. So you could do that. So you don't need to have one of these big Kenwoods. So these biscuits are makeable with the most basic tools. So we've got in here our flour, our baking powder and salt, and we're stirring to combine, and that's that done. Okay, so we're going to put that aside. Then what we're going to do, we're going to cream together in our Kenwood mixer, or you do it in that handheld mixer, the sugar, butter and zest. So in here is my 1/2 cup of soft butter going in. Now when you're doing baking, there is no margin for error. You've got to, if it says 1/2 cup of butter, you must put in exactly 1/2 cup of butter, because baking is an exact science, and the butter to sugar to flour ratio is very, very important, and you have to stick to it properly. Okay, so in here goes our sugar, our 1 cup of white sugar, and our butter and our zest, which is 1 tablespoon heat. So that's a heat tablespoon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ripple this up. So that's all amalgamated, and into that I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla essence, an egg, and I always put my egg into a little bowl of sauce just to check that it's all in order, and then the ricotta. That's going to go in. And we're going to mush that up together. I'm just going to push down the sides a little bit so that it all gets incorporated together equally. And give it another little whiz. And then we're going to slowly add our flour and our chocolate chips. So we're slowly adding our flour. And then into that, I'm going to stir in my chocolate chips. Now with most of these, oh, here's a whole lot of flour here. With most of these doughs, because they've got a high butter content, obviously they're quite soft. So what you do is you make them like we've made it now, and then you put it in the fridge to chill, or the freezer, depending how quickly you want to use the substance, the mixture, and then you take it out of the fridge or freezer, and then it's much easier to roll into little balls or to place to make little bisques. So let me just get all this. Okay, that's all off. Thanks, Porsche. And then into that, I've got these little chocolate chips, which you can buy. They're from Stafford's, I think. You can buy them everywhere. And here they go into the mixture. And with baking, a mixture of orange and chocolate is always absolutely stunning. So I'm going to mix this in by hand. And actually it is quite firm considering. Portia, do you want to give it the last stir at the bottom because I'm actually not strong enough? That's why I've got Portia here to supplement my strength. She's much stronger than me. Just at the very bottom there's some flour. Now what you can do to make your cookies equal sizes or biscuits equal sizes is you can use an ice cream scoop, and then you just go like that and it pops out. Obviously oil it so that it's so that the pastry doesn't stick to the scooper, and then you can just pull out. But this pastry is actually extremely firm. It's funny how every single time you make something it's different. Anyway, that's fine. We don't have to refrigerate it. And all we're going to do, we are going to place it in balls on our cookie sheet. Yeah. On our baking sheet. This can go away. So look how beautiful this dough is. This cookie dough. And in fact, Americans have cookie dough ice cream. Have you heard of that? Where they put this mixture in with ice cream. That's how delicious cookie dough is. You know, it's a little bit too big. So you've got to get them the right size. So that's why it's actually good to take a spoon to do it, because then there is a measure of accuracy. But obviously the scoop You see, that's not accurate at all. So they are approximately the same size, I would say. But obviously there are too many on this baking sheet. And when I bake it, I'm going to have to split them. Because otherwise they're all going to go into each other. But this is the most divine cookie. I mean, yesterday I was playing bridge online and I had 3 with a cup of tea. And I thought I'd gone to heaven and back. It was so divine. Anyway, so these are the orange chocolate chip cookies. We're nearly done with those. And then our last biscuit today is our crunchy. And how I've made my crunchy different is that I've actually added orange and lemon peel into it. So not only has it got a chewiness to it, it's got that wonderful citrus flavor coming through. And the orange peel, to be honest with you, I've only ever seen at Thrips. So I'm sure you can buy it overseas quite easily. But I always buy it in bulk when I see it. I buy a few tubs of it at Thrips, and then I freeze it, which is what I've done. I've just taken it out the freezer, and that quarter can go in the fridge. So you can make this a day before if you want. And it's also a bit small, shame. And just put it in the fridge, covered with cling film, so it doesn't get contaminated by the other odors in the fridge. And then we can bake those just now. I've already got some for display. So now the last thing we're going to do, guys, is the orange peel crunchies. So for the orange peel crunchies, you need a small pot, 200 grams of butter, which I've already measured out, and a tablespoon of golden syrup. Just give me the golden syrup. I'm just giving my proper measurement away. So we'll just... It's probably more than a tablespoon. I love syrup. I love syrup. Is that flour? We still need that? Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to mix this butter and syrup together when they melted, when the butter's melted. And I need a bowl portie to put all my other ingredients in, if you don't mind. So, what we're going to do, we're going to mix all the dry ingredients together. So that is 2 cups of oats, oopsie, they're very messy today. 1 of those, 2. Always fill your things right to the top so that they're flat with the level of the top of the measuring cup, like that. And I've got these special closing devices that I bought at a food show once that are brilliant. So you close it like that. And into that, I'm going to put a cup of white sugar, a cup of coconut, which is in here already. So here in here is a cup of coconut and a cup of white sugar. And a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, which is it's obviously a raising agent. This is half a spoon, so I've got 2 of these. That's 1 spoon of bicarb. And 1 cup of flour. And what's also nice about crunchies is they seem to last extremely well in terms of not getting stale. Okay, so in here we have got our oats, our white sugar, our coconut, our bicarb, okay, that can go. And I'm going to mix this all together so that it's uniform. Okay. And in the meantime, my butter and syrup are melted, and are ready to be combined. So, mix, 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 so that it looks completely uniform. And then these are my little tubs of orange peel, diced citrus peel. It's orange and lemon actually, and it's coming out of the freezer, but it's been out for a while, so it's perfect. You cannot believe the difference this orange makes. I mean, it's literally the best invention I've ever made. So, as I say, the only place I know that does it is Thrips, but I'm sure at a baking shop you'll find it. You just get it mixed through in a uniform fashion. And then Portia, I think we're right here. Let me just.
Is that big enough? Or is that cheap?
No, it's fine. It's actually fine. And then, oh, it smells so nice. The orange just makes such a difference. And pour that inside, Portia, and let's mix it all together. And for the crunchy, because it's got the butter in it, you don't need to line your baking sheet, your Swiss roll tray it's called. You don't have to line it because the butter obviously stops it from sticking. And we are now mixing this in. And then we're going to press it into our tray and bake it at 180 for 15 to 20 minutes. Stunning, Porsche. Anyway, so we're going to do that now. Okay, that's fine, Porsche. Is it all good? Okay. So in go my crunchies. So just put it into the middle. And in fact, the best way to put these, to flatten the crunchies is actually with the back of a spoon. That way your fingers also don't get all oily from the butter. And what I do is I actually first of all go to the corners, because the corners are often forgotten while we get the middle all beautiful. So I'm sending a little bit of a mound to each corner, and then what I'm going to do is just gently compact it like this. This is a slightly smaller tray than I used last time. Look nice and fat. So obviously, the smaller your tray, the higher your biscuits, your little crunchies will be. Okay. So, oopsie. It's like playing with Play-Doh. So, you want the edges to be quite firmly pushed together. We're going to bake them for 15 to 20 minutes, And then we are going to cut them when they come out of the oven, because they'll still be soft. They won't be brittle yet. And just check that the edges are nice and that they are sort of pushed together. Okay, so now these are just about perfect. And now this can go in the oven. That can go in the oven for 20 minutes. And then once it comes out, we're going to cut it into little squares and let it cool down and become brittle in the squares. So guys, you have just been witness to my delicious Bountiful biscuit course. It's the first of many. This is part 1, stroke 10 maybe, or the end of the year. And seeing I love sugar, it's going to be such a treat for me to do this. And I look forward to posting it on YouTube and you enjoying it. And I hope that you will join me at my Bountiful Biscuits Part 2. Happy baking!